Hi, my name is Jelle Goossens. I'm a senior Workday consultant working for the Deloitte practice in the Netherlands. Today I'm going to continue with the walkthrough of the data gathering workbook. And therefore we're going to focus on the blue tabs that are remaining in this workbook. The first one is service dates. Service dates are only applicable for employees, not for contingent workers. Therefore, only provide this data for employees. Then we have three fields that are required: original hire date, continuous service date, and end employment date. Continuous service date and end employment date were used before in the position management tab. You can copy paste that from there. The original hire date is a new field. This is often used for mergers, but this is also often just equal to the hire date. Check your current system. If you have these dates, populate here. Otherwise, populate it with the hire date. The rest of the tab, go just from left to right. Check the full core and light core indication, and check if it's optional or required. But as said before, the rest of the fields are just optional. Check if you have the data in your current system. If yes, populate the data in this worksheet, and otherwise just leave it blank. Next tab, employee contracts. First section, again, this is only applicable for employees with employee type equal to fixed terms. So not for contingent workers, but fixed term contracted people. Make sure that this column, employee ID, only has the IDs of the employees. The contract data is optional, but as said before, it's mandatory for fixed term. So you need to populate it here for the fixed term people. We had one in there, that was Peter Griffin. So he has a contract reason, new hire. He has a contract ID. It's optional, but we defined one, contract 001. And he has a contract start date, obvious. He has a contract type that is an optional field, but for fixed term, at this moment, if you have other types, those will be discussed during the localization workshop. If not, type here fixed term, or use the term fixed term. Contract status. 3 valid values: open, closed, and extended. Use one of these field values. And a contract end date, which is optional. Assign employee to pay group. In order to have employees paid by the payroll provider, we need to put them in a pay group. So, check with your payroll provider what is the pay group name and what is the pay group ID. If they have it, they can put it in here. If not, you can define a pay group name by yourself and define the pay group ID as well. The effective date should be equal to the hire date of employees. So remember, this is only applicable for employees, not for contingent workers, as they are not handled by the normal payroll. Payment elections enrollment. This is about the bank accounts. So this is only for employees. Bank account data. This is the actual bank account. You need to populate the IBAN, the BIC code, the bank account number, the bank account type, which is a fixed value, and a bank name. All this information can be found within an IBAN BIC converter, but populate as much as possible with the data that you already have. Go a little bit between the identifier and between the bank account data. We have a payment election data. This is easy to fill in. It's a country ISO code and currency. All the other fields are fixed value, and you can find them here. 1 payroll, 1 direct deposit. As mentioned before, always watch to the latest row in the header. It's full core only, so not for core light. We go completely to the right. We also have payment distributions. For now, we ask you to populate the distribution balance with the fixed value equal to yes. Alright, next three tabs. They're a bit related to each other. It's about the related persons that are related to the employee, like a spouse, a child, and so on. So we can have dependents in the system, we can have emergency contacts, but also beneficiaries. For now, focus on emergency contacts and dependents. So, dependents, they can be a spouse, a child, parent, as I said before. Go from left to right in this workbook and fill in the required fields. As you can see, a lot of this is optional, because we cannot say if a dependent or emergency contact is required to populate. It's only if you have this kind of information, you should populate it in this sheet. Most of the time, dependents are entered in a previous system with a relationship. So you can fill in the legal name, last name, the relation, but also maybe a phone number from work or from home, maybe an address. We also have the emergency contacts. Same thing. If you have this information populated here, it's the same as the previous tab with names. We can have a phone number, we can have a work phone number, and a home address. Go from left to right and fill this in. Beneficiaries, related to the benefits in the system. This will also be explained during the localization workshop. But it's the same as the other one. Go from left to right, read the field names, try to fill it in. Home address, gender, beneficiary data. For example, from when is he beneficiary? Is he beneficiary? This will be more explained in depth with the functional consultants. Next one is job and position history. Make the remark here that we need to have 5 years of historical information as of 1st of January 2012. This is the maximum. We cannot take more information. You can find these fields in this workbook, like historical record reference, work history name, action date, reason, description. In the example row, we've entered the example obvious, but that doesn't mean that you need to give this data as is. We need to define, together with the project group, on the format of this tab. For now, it's hard to explain on how the data should look like in this tab. But think about it. At some point during the project, we need to have this data delivered to the work group. So think about, where is the data located? Is it an internal system, an external system? Or, and do we even have like 5 years of historical information? And think about what kind of historical information can be useful to have here. Good to notice is A lot of these fields are free fields. These are text fields with no limitations. Except, of course, the action date. But we need to define, as said before, the reasons and the description. And that can be done in a later stage of the project and will be shared later with you. Terminated employees. For now, it's out of scope for prototype 1, just because we haven't decided yet on the format on a global level to have these people in Workday. So during the project time, we will come back to you with this information and ask you, give us terminated employees. So same thing as a previous step. Think about where is this data located and how can we export it? How can we put it in this workbook? And what kind of information can we actually store in Workday related to a terminated employee? Therefore, read this page and go from left to right. Because as you can see, we can hold a lot of information from that terminated employee. We also have suppliers tab, but currently this is out of scope, so ignore, and system user accounts as well, ignore. This will all be populated and handled by Deloitte themselves. In one of the next videos, we're going to continue with two topics like multiple positions, international assignments, but as well compensation data, talent data, absences and benefits. So hold on, we're almost there. Thank you.